Have you ever reached the middle of your homeschool year and suddenly realized things just are not going the way you expected? The kids are dragging their feet, motivation is low, and you've started to feel a little panicked about how much curriculum is left. If that sounds familiar, today's episode is for you. Today, I want to share a simple rhythm that has helped me lead our homeschool with clarity year after year. It's called the 10-week homeschool reset, and it's one of the most powerful ways to regain focus and momentum in your homeschool. Hey, homeschool mom, I'm Erica Sagert on the Intentional Homeschooler podcast with more actionable steps and encouragement for your homeschooling journey so you can confidently and intentionally homeschool your children without sacrificing your sanity. Grab a pen and paper, your favorite cup of brew, and let's get started. Most homeschool moms begin the school year with a plan. It's a perfectly laid out plan. You choose the curriculum, you organize the shelves, you picture what the year is going to look like. But the real challenge in homeschooling isn't getting started. The real challenge is staying on course throughout the year. Life happens. Kids grow and change, and what worked in September might not be working so well by January or March. And when that happens, many homeschool moms start wondering if they're doing something wrong. But most of the time, the problem isn't that you've failed. It's simply that your homeschool needs a reset. All right, first I want to talk about why this 10-week reset works. So over the years, I've realized something really important. Homeschooling works much better when we think of it in seasons instead of trying to plan out the entire year perfectly. And one of the best time frames I have found for this is 10 weeks. So 10 weeks is long enough to make meaningful progress with your kids, but it's short enough that you're not stuck in something that isn't working. So instead of making one giant plan in August and hoping that it's going to work all year, you begin leading your homeschool in intentional seasons. So do 10 weeks, pause after the 10 weeks, evaluate how things are going, and then make adjustments as needed. Then move forward again. This rhythm removes a huge amount of pressure from homeschooling because you realize you don't have to solve everything all at once. You just need to lead the next season well. Recently, I've been thinking more about what I help homeschool moms do. Like, how can I communicate what I am helping you do in your homeschooling? So I've started to summarize it with this simple phrase: decide your path and take action. So many homeschool moms I find as I work with them, I find that they feel stuck because they're waiting for the perfect plan. They're waiting for everything to line up perfectly. They want to be able to see the entire roadmap, the plan for the whole year. Sometimes they even want to see the plan for the next 12 years. But homeschooling rarely works that way. Instead, what works much better is this. You decide your path for the next 10 weeks, and then you take action. You choose the direction for the next season. Then you move forward with confidence. And then when those 10 weeks are over, you pause again, you evaluate, and you decide your next path. That's how intentional homeschooling happens. It does not happen through perfect plans, but through clear decisions, a clear idea followed by consistent action. Let me say that again. Intentional homeschooling does not happen through perfectly laid out plans, but through clear decisions followed by consistent action. I would like to talk about those 3 steps of a reset. So when I walk moms through this process and when I did it myself, I break it down into 3 simple steps. Decide, so make your decision, figure out your why, then plan, and then do. Execute the plan. Decide, plan, then do. Step 1, decide. First, decide what matters most for the next 10 weeks. One of the biggest mistakes homeschool moms make is trying to fix everything at once. Instead, ask yourself, what is the most important focus for our homeschool right now? Even before you decide this, just brainstorm. Just put everything down on paper, the things that you want to achieve, maybe the problem areas you have. So then I want you to look at that brainstormed list and then think about what is the most important focus of our homeschool right now. So look at those things, maybe the problem areas, but also things that you want your kids to learn. Maybe you need to strengthen math skills. Maybe you need to help a struggling reader. Maybe your mornings have become chaotic and you need a better routine. Maybe attitudes have slipped and you need to rebuild some family culture. Not everything has to improve at the same time. Choose 1 or 2 priorities for the next season. Remember, we're talking about 10 weeks of focus. What are the top 2 things, don't go more than 2, that you really need to focus on in the next 10 weeks? That decision of those 2 priorities will give your homeschool a lot of directions. Don't try to do too much at one time. So in this decide stage, I want you to brainstorm everything. Mostly, I want you to think about the problem areas, okay? Think about what is not working. What are some things that we really need to work on? Get those all down on paper and then prioritize them all because you're not going to be able to tackle all of them. So find some ones that have higher priority than others and focus on those. Step number 2, plan. So you've made your decision. You know what your top 2 priorities are. Now you need to make a plan. Create a simple structure that supports the focus that you want to make. What do you want to focus on? Create a simple structure that will support that. This doesn't mean throwing everything out and starting over. Most of the time, it simply means making a few thoughtful adjustments. Maybe you change when you start school in the morning. Maybe you simplify a subject. You just cut out some of the extra activities. You just get to the root of the curriculum instead of all of that extra fluff for right now. Maybe for that struggling reader, you need to add daily reading time and make sure that it's one of those non-negotiables that you get to that every single day at a certain time when you know it's going to happen. Small changes, those small changes can have a surprisingly big impact over 10 weeks. Remember, the goal is not perfection. The goal is clarity. So plan that out and make a plan that is doable, possibly a bit of a stretch, but also doable. Step number 3, do. Then after you've decided what you need to focus on, you've made your plan, now you need to do it. Just do it, in the Nike phrase. Follow that plan. You need to commit to the direction you chose, right? In your planning, you chose the direction. Now you need to commit to it for 10 weeks. Don't constantly second guess. Don't panic. If a week goes sideways, you stay consistent. I like to say miss once, but don't miss twice. So you've decided what you want to do. You're in that do step. Don't miss it. Give it a really good go before you adjust. Do everything in your power to give it 10 weeks before you try to make adjustments. Commit to it. Be consistent. Miss once, but don't miss twice. Because consistency over time is what produces results. I remember one spring waking up in the middle of the night feeling completely panicked. My heart was beating really fast. And suddenly this thought hit me. We are not far enough in our curriculum. We have not progressed enough. And things are going awry and I'm not doing right by my kids. We've got to make a change. You know, that feeling many of you have had, I know you have as homeschool moms. You just start mentally calculating how many pages are left in that math book, and you're like, there is no way we're going to get where we need to go. And somehow that math book, it just seems longer at 2 a.m. You know, when you wake up in that panic, you cannot logically think about how you're going to make changes. But in that point of the year in the spring, many times kids are not cooperating. Motivation gets really low. We just want to go outside and be in the sunshine. When we're all just sort of tired and burned out, we'd worked hard all year and felt like we were running out of steam. But you know, when I was lying there in the middle of the night, I realized something. It was time for a reset. So what I did at that time, this happened to be in the spring, but you know, that's when I'm recording this episode, but you might be listening to it in the fall or the winter or the summer. But when it was spring and our motivation was low, including mine, we were all burned out, I created a spring challenge. So instead of trying to push harder, I decided we needed a different approach. So this spring challenge that I created was a point system. So the kids could earn points for things like completing their schoolwork, finishing their chores, staying focused during school time, and things like having a good attitude and getting along with their siblings. So I know we can't force a good attitude, but we can highly encourage it and we can reward that. So we created reward stages along the way. So they could earn a certain amount of points every day. And I created this chart where they got to fill in their kudos for the day. And about a quarter of the way through the challenge, they could redeem their points for something small, something like a trip to the dollar store and pick something out that they want, you know, depending on the age of the children, but a quarter of the way through, a small prize. And then halfway through the challenge, I would take them out for lunch together or something, you know, along those lines, something that they would like. And if they made it all the way through the challenge, they got to choose something bigger, something like the trampoline park or another fun outing. And it was truly amazing how quickly the atmosphere in our homeschool changed. The kids suddenly had something to work toward. There was excitement again, and I felt excitement because it was something fun that I was offering them in reward to their changed behavior or their hard work. Math started getting finished a lot faster than it had the week before. Now, the point system itself wasn't the magic solution. The real solution was that we paused, evaluated what was happening, and made a small adjustment. And that's exactly what the 10-week homeschool reset is about. You stop and ask, what does our homeschool need right now? Sometimes the answer is a curriculum change. Sometimes it's simply adjusting your schedule. And sometimes it's simply adding a little motivation and some fun back into the season. Homeschool leadership often looks like small, thoughtful adjustments that move your family forward again. So if your homeschool feels a little scattered right now, here are your 3 steps. First, pause and evaluate. Second, decide the most important focus for the next 10 weeks. And third, create a simple plan and begin taking action today. Remember this phrase: decide your path and take action. You don't have to fix everything today. You just need to lead the next season well. So you want to homeschool, but you don't know where to start. Or you're already homeschooling and you just need a new perspective. I want to invite you to book a free coaching call with me. Sometimes you don't need to start over. You just need a little wind in your sails and a few new ideas. On that call, we will talk through homeschooling as a whole, whether you're new to homeschooling or as a seasoned homeschool mom. I will show you how my course, Charting Your Homeschool course, helps moms homeschool with clarity, confidence, and intention. You can book that free call in the show notes. Go do it today. You can also find me on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and right here where a brand new episode drops every other Thursday. Until next time, you've got this, Mom.